Hi, I'm Mike Miller, and thank you for watching the show, The Other Side, that I've created to bring on local musicians. And I've been seeing a guy around town at the open mics for the last few years playing songs that he's put together, and he's also a book writer and printmaker, and I'm glad to have Stephen Jent here today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
And so there's a lot of musicians that show up at these open mics for sure, a lot of varied talent and all kinds of music that you hear when you go to these open mics.
There
regularly.
is a lot of talent in Denton.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's intimidating sometimes.
People from all walks of life, it seems like.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And the rap is a big thing. Like that was at Abbey, there was a lot of that. That's kind of interesting to me in ways, some of the beats and stuff, but it was hard for me to relate to some of it, you know.
Mm-hmm. No, that's one genre that I have never written anything in.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's partly because I'm just an old school person. I grew up in the '60s, so that's my heritage. So that's.
Did you like the Rolling Stones very much?
Oh, of course. Rolling Stones, Beatles, Buffalo Springfield, Byrds, on and on and on.
Yeah, the Beach Boys.
Sure, sure. There's a theory, I don't know how much psychological evidence there is for it, but it basically says that the music that you listened to when you were in your mid to late teens is the music that will stick with you the rest of your life.
Yeah,
because that's just such a formative phase of your life. That has a lot to do with what kind of a person you become, and that music is just you absorb it, and that's the music that means the most to you as long as you live. And that's, like, I would at least say that I'm a good example of it, because I still have my LPs from that period. I listen to them now and then.
And I don't know if I should. Sometimes I feel sorry for people in the current generations, the music that they grew up listening to. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it. You know, I've never really listened to Lady Gaga and some of these other big stars of today. You know, and a lot of the rap stars. But I guess the cleverness of their lyrics or whatever is fascinating to people. And
I tell myself not to feel that way. I tell myself not to feel sorry for people who didn't grow up when I did.
Yeah.
With my music.
Yeah, because they make fun of it sometimes.
It's their music and I have my music, so
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm completely out of touch with their music anyway, so I'm not really in a position to critique it one way or the other. I found this out when I took the online test to be a contestant on Jeopardy!
Really?
And I did great, except when it came to contemporary pop culture.
Oh.
I just crashed and burned. I didn't know anything. So I appreciate the fact that I'm obsolete. That's okay. I have the music that I enjoy, and if I'm not keeping up with everything that's happening today, that's all right.
Are you familiar with iHeartRadio?
Vaguely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about it myself.
No.
But
No. So we're both just confirming our ignorance. What are you going to do?
But some bands have continued on, like the Stones. They still draw really big crowds.
They do.
You know.
And Paul McCartney is still touring. And I shouldn't say, he wouldn't appreciate hearing me say this, but I really enjoy the fact that in his more recent tours, he's been doing lots and lots of Beatles songs. Mm-hmm. He's not doing so much of the Wings material.
Yeah.
He's doing Beatles tunes, and he and the band that he's touring with really just knock them out of the park. It's fun to watch them.
What does he call his current band? It's not Wings, though.
I think he just tours as Paul McCartney, and they're his backup musicians. I don't know that they have a name, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But I've watched some of the more recent concerts on YouTube, and they're just delightful. They're playing tunes that go all the way back to the beginning, like the first Beatles LP. They do a tune called Please Please Me, which was one of their really big, like their first or second #1 single.
Yeah.
And people in the crowd are singing along. And these are people who weren't alive when that song came out. So it's not like they remember it from their youth.
Yeah.
They have heard it.
That is good that they go back and check that out.
Yeah. Well, it's really fun to watch.
And I read somewhere that he released a record not long ago and he used auto-tune, and he was being criticized for that, you know. And
I hadn't heard about that. I don't think he needs auto-tune. I think he has pretty good pitch already.
Yeah. I guess it gives you a certain sound
Yes,
to
it
be
does.
singing through that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's computers, drum machines, or what that's kind of added so many elements to music when it was before it was like stringed guitars and basses and singing and pianos and
It was all live instruments.
Yeah.
Nothing electronic.
And the looping. They say James Brown's drummer's been looped, sampled so many times, you know. But I guess that's that's a compliment to him for sure that he had that good funky beat going on.
Right. And then you have all those duets albums where somebody records a duet with someone who's dead. Just to, I don't know if it's because they wish they could have performed with that person when they were still alive or what. But
how are they doing that? With old records?
I guess.
Really?
Yeah, they just sing along with an old recording and have a second vocal part to go with it.
Really? I haven't heard about that. There's songs on the radio like that these days.
I haven't heard one recently. There was sort of a flurry of them, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I don't know that people are still doing that.
Yeah, who was doing that?
I don't even remember now. It was, I don't tend to listen a lot to singers. I tend to listen to bands.
Yeah.
So these would be people that wouldn't be in my main focus musically, so I don't remember that clearly now.
Did you like songwriters like John Denver?
Not my #1. I think Lennon and McCartney are the most insanely talented songwriting duo that certainly in the entire 20th century.
Yeah.
I just don't see who could touch them.
They were really talented.
Yeah.
And Lennon had a cool rock and roll voice, it seemed.
He did. He had a very distinctive voice. McCartney just had this insane range.
Yeah.
He could just get way up there. And so a lot of the times he would take the high part of the harmony and Lennon would sing farther down because he couldn't get quite up there.
Yeah.
But yes, they both had very distinctive and very listenable voices, to be sure.
And you were saying you saw a documentary about Bruce Springsteen?
Was I saying that?
Was it a documentary? Earlier.
I'm trying to remember what you're referring to.
Bruce Springsteen, something. On Broadway.
Oh, I have not seen that show. I understand that there is a Springsteen musical now, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, like he's a solo artist, just talking and playing. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Well, he's had quite a career, but
he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm dating myself when I say that I liked his early material better. There was an album called Greetings from Asbury Park, and the one after that was something about the E Street Shuffle. I can't remember the complete title, but that's the Springsteen that I remember most fondly. And I'm sure he would say, "Well, who cares?"
But up there in the New Jersey area, are there a lot of factories in that area?
Must be
northeast.
Sure.
Yeah.
That whole.
Seemed like he talked about
the whole Rust Belt.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of his material is about: is the good and bad times of being a blue collar worker.
Yeah, getting laid off and things like that.
Right.
And you still have bills to pay. But,
I recently wrote a song that I wasn't really setting out to imitate him. It's just that the subject matter reminded me of
some of his lyrics.
The songs that he writes, right.
Now these compositions you did for viola and things like that, that you're delving into classical music more or less with that.
Right. I started trying to write that sort of instrumental music in the 80s when I had a Commodore 64, which had this 3-voice audio chip in it.
Oh, really?
Which was pretty amazing at the time.
Yeah.
So I used it to write some classical style music. I can't listen to it anymore. It's pretty dreadful. Because I was just doing it by ear. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just completely untrained and ignorant. I just would try to come up with something that I thought sounded good, and I guess it did at the time, but it doesn't now.
I still do that, yeah.
So one of the reasons I left IBM early was so that I could get more involved in that kind of composition. You don't need anything really in the way of training to write songs, which is the other side of my musical endeavors. But if you're going to write that sort of formal composition, there are some things you need to know. Doing it by ear, you're going to waste a lot of time, and that's what I did for years. Then,
as far as like the form and structure of classical,
no, the harmony, how different parts work together.
Harmony, yeah.
Instrumentation, what instruments, what sort of timbres complement each other, and what sort of timbres jar with each other. So when I left IBM, not long after that, I started to study music theory. And then that eventually led me to move to Denton, where I studied composition and orchestration and that whole side here at UNT.
I read something one time about there was something that, like the devil's interval or something that
yes.
the churches were concerned about.
The tritone.
Tritone.
Yes, which is just completely ordinary
to us
today. It doesn't sound discordant or alien or anything. But yes, there was a period when it was, I'm not sure it was absolutely forbidden, but it was certainly not accepted. And now it's nothing at all.
I think Kurt Cobain had that going on, really.
Well,
in one of his big hits.
Yes, but even back in
prior to that,
even in Baroque music, certainly by the time of the Romantics, and the classical era, that was it's basically unavoidable. There's some natural progressions that are going to lead you there, and so you really can't fight it.
Is it the perfect fourth, though?
It's an augmented fourth or diminished fifth, whichever way you want to look at it, because it's 3 whole steps.
3 whole steps.
Right. So a perfect fourth would be 2 whole steps and then a half step, 2 major seconds and a minor second.
Like C to F.
Right.
How far is that? That's a perfect fourth?
That's a perfect fourth.
Perfect fourth.
And then C to G is a perfect fifth. So C to F sharp is an augmented fourth, and C to G flat would be a diminished fifth. They're the same thing, F sharp, G flat. So
the devil's tone was what, though?
It would be that interval, C to F sharp.
C to F sharp, oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But nobody even pays any attention to it anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of dissonant, though, I guess.
It is, but typically it leads you to something else.
It has to resolve.
It resolves to a different interval, which is more mellifluous, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming down today and look forward to hearing you play some music for us.
Me too.
And you guys stay tuned to check out Stephen Jent playing some songs for you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Jent. I really appreciate the opportunity that Mike has given me to play a few of my songs for you. These will all be originals. So the first one, the first line of this song is literally true. I was driving from Denton to my mother's place in Pennsylvania, and just west of Nashville, my car just completely died. There was nothing that could be done for it. I never saw the car again. I left it there and rented a car and continued my trip. So I donated it to the Nashville Public TV station, and I got a letter from them later on saying that they were very happy to have auctioned it off for $200. So that tells you what state the car was in by the time I left it. And I realized that if your car breaks down in Nashville, the songwriter's code requires that you write a song about it, a country song, country western song. If it happens in Memphis, you have to write a blues song. If it happens in New Orleans, you probably have to write a Dixieland song, I don't know. So I just decided I should write a little country tune about losing my car in Nashville. So the first line is true. After that, it's all just fantasy. My car broke down outside of Nashville. There was nothing I could do, because I'd run clean out of cash bills. So I broke down and cried from missing you. Thought you'd wait for me in Nashville. I should have known you'd be untrue, 'cause it ain't like you to be bashful about taking up with someone new. I looked for you all over Nashville, but it was hopeless in the end. I didn't need a lot of math skills to know you were two-timing me again. I thought my dreams were there in Nashville, but all my dreams were not to be. The last I heard, you'd gone to Asheville with someone you loved more than me. I'm never going back to Nashville. The wounds you left ain't healed yet. But when I'm drinking from my mash still, it makes it easy to forget. These days you're easy to forget. I guess I should have pointed out that that song is essentially an exercise in coming up with more or less obvious rhymes for Nashville. This song I usually dedicate to Joel Osteen or Joyce Meyer or one of the people in that line of work. talking on TV, telling me I've gone astray. But I can still be saved for just a modest fee. Hallelujah anyway. Can I mail a check and cancel all my sins? Will that make everything okay? I'll show St. Peter my receipt and he'll let me in. Hallelujah anyway. Week after week, you say I need to give you more, just as much as I can pay. But didn't someone tell us blessed are the poor? Hallelujah anyway. You think that money is a blessing from on high? Have you forgotten what they say about a camel passing through a needle's eye? Hallelujah anyway. You say that good things are sure to come my way. For every donation, wait and see. But all those good things seem to come to you, not me. You're telling me that Jesus wants you to be rich, and that's the life for which you pray. Between you and Lucifer, I can't tell which is which. Hallelujah anyway. You're asking me to send you every cent I've got. How will it feel on Judgment Day when you find you're headed where it's always hot? Hallelujah anyway. And you're going there to stay. Hallelujah anyway. This song is, when I wrote it, this song was prompted by when I used to live in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And at least when I was there, I don't know how things are today, but back in those years, back in the 70s, economically things were pretty grim. A lot of things were closing up and a lot of people were out of work. And I just got to thinking about those years recently and ended up writing this song. It sounds vaguely like a Bruce Springsteen song because it's about the blue-collar life and how unhappy and discouraging it can be sometimes. Life was good in my old neighborhood. We used to think we all had it made. We'd work on the line like our fathers in their time, retire and relax in the shade. I must have been crazy not to see. It was never going to be that way for me. The suits all swore till the day they closed the doors that our jobs were safe and the future still looked good. Then the plant closed down and the suits all left town, and we just had to do the best we could. I must have been crazy to stay while all of my friends moved away. Now it's getting tough for me to earn enough to pay my family's bills from day to day. All the boarded up stores, every year I see more, mean there isn't much to buy anyway. I guess I must be crazy to still be here, but I'll make it out, you'll see, maybe next year. All of my working days are a meaningless haze, and Friday nights I drink to excess. Every week is the same, and I should feel some shame, but Sunday it's all good when I confess. It's crazy how I've let the time slip by, but does it really matter where you die? One more? Okay. No. One more is good enough. This song is my tribute to everyone who's ever had the courage to leave behind a responsible career in favor of a life of carefree, idle decadence. I used to try to be a regular guy, gave the 9 to 5 my best shot, but it didn't pay, so now I just play, and I'll be okay till I'm not. I've watched my best years just disappear, and my prospects ain't all that hot, but another glass helps the evening pass, so I'll be okay till I'm not. Too many dreams have let me down. Maybe I'll forget after one more round. You may wonder why it seems like I never give the future much thought. I just live for now, and anyhow I'll be okay till I'm not. I may be tempting fate, staying out too late, and spending more than I've got. But can anyone have too much fun? I'll be okay till I'm not. I guess I could have been much wiser, but I'll never be an early riser. You tell me I'm on borrowed time, and soon I'm gonna get caught. But until that day, I'll just live my way, and I'll be okay till I'm not. I'll be okay till I'm not. I'll be okay till I'm not.
Follow your dreams, and they say, do what you want, and money will come.